Course in Miracles 365. I'm your host, Tomás Garza, and I'm excited to have a very, very in-depth conversation with you today. Well, you know what? That's the case every day. So I thank you all for tuning in here with me and for following along. And if you're following along today in the workbook for students of A Course in Miracles, where we are with this is we're in a series of review lessons where we're taking some ideas from the workbook that we've covered already, and we're reviewing them. Now, these are very, very helpful for our understanding because if you're following along, you'll notice that they're recast in the review lessons. We're taking a series of 5, and today and tomorrow we'll be concluding this period of review. We're reviewing the lessons 1 through 50 in the workbook. And then at lesson 61, which I'll be covering here on this live stream starting on Friday, then we'll be right back into the traditional pattern of 1 lesson a day commentary. And again, if you're just joining me, thank you. This is about A Course in Miracles. However, it is all about universal spirituality. So the beauty of A Course in Miracles is that it is a spiritual self-study curriculum. That's what it is. It's a self-study curriculum, and it does not matter what your spiritual or religious tradition, does not matter your background, or whether you are looking to have a whole system be the basis of your spirituality, or whether you're practicing something else. This can enhance your walk with anything else, and it can serve in its own right as an entire spiritual practice. And whichever appeals the most to you, there is something to be gained out of watching this live stream, because what we're talking about, these lessons that are in this thing called the workbook for students, are universal teachings. They're universal teachings that can apply no matter where you are, no matter who you are, and no matter what you're doing in life, no matter where. So this is really quite a beautiful way to connect to universal spirituality, and in a way that you can, in fact, take and practice things. This is one of the notions about A Course that makes so much sense to me, is it gives us something to do. In a lot of world religions and spiritual traditions, we're told to believe something, aren't we? We're told to believe this so we can have a beautiful life. We're told to believe that. So when we leave our physical body, we call it death in this world, we don't go straight to hell. You know, we're told to do something and believe something, and you just have trust and faith and believe in something. And there are not that many traditions, are there, that give us something to actually do. And that's where the genius of A Course is. It's universal in theme, it's applicable, and it gives us something to do, to actually practice. And what are we practicing? Well, we're removing the barriers, the veils, if you prefer, the blockages, if you prefer that term, to the presence of love. We're awakening to love, in essence. We're awakening to the living, breathing, limitless, and beautiful experience of who we really are. And I'm happy that you've joined me. All right, so lesson 59 here. Again, we're reviewing 5 different workbook lessons, which are ideas, and they're in condensed form here in lesson 59. Whether you have the course book or not, you're welcome to pick it up and follow along. And if you'd like to access this information, it is available online. There are a number of really good and really straightforward and easy to use mobile apps too, if you're on the go and you want to look this up on your cell phone. Also, you can always type in Workbook Lesson 59, ACIM, A Course in Miracles, on a Google search. Yeah, this material is accessible to everyone at all times. All we have to do is make the decision to look at it. So if you're curious, those are some ways. They're great online resources. Yeah, so lesson 59 starts off with a review of lessons 41 through 45. So lesson 41, is God goes with me wherever I go. So we're talking about God today, and we're talking about universality. We're talking about limitlessness. We're talking about ourselves here. And if you did not know that prior, know that now, is we're talking about ourselves. We're talking about who we really are. Now, who we really are is not a body. We know that the body doesn't last forever, does it? It's not eternal. I mean, I might be in better shape right now at age 49 than I was in when I was 25, but things not going to last forever. That is not who we are. Who we are is, in fact, limitless. It's one with God as an extension of God. In other words, the Son of God. The Course uses that phraseology, the Son of God, to refer to love extending itself, and only itself, by the way. Yeah, God goes with me wherever I go. God simply is. Reality simply is. It cannot be created. It simply is. So, therefore, wherever we go, God goes with us. We may think that we're having a separate experience and can wall ourselves off and hide in a house, hide in a building, in a car, in a physical body. We think we can hide, but in truth, we can't. God simply is. And God goes with us wherever we go. What does that mean? Love and peace and happiness and abundance and joy go with you wherever you go. That's a powerful statement. Right? Love and peace and joy and happiness and abundance go with you wherever you go. Whether you're trying to run from it or not. No, a lot of us aren't consciously trying to run from it, but sometimes we are. Sometimes we are. We don't feel that we deserve this. We don't feel worthy, do we? We all know what those feelings are like. We know what it feels like to feel like we suck. We know what it feels like to feel cut off and lacking and separate, less than. We all are very familiar with that. So what A Course in Miracles is doing is it's giving us an idea to work with, practice, something to do. Even if all you do is say this to yourself, it is tremendously important. God goes with me wherever I go. Lesson 42. God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Yeah. So again, if you're just joining us, A Course in Miracles, while universal in theme and application, uses terms that would be familiar to someone who grew up in a Judeo-Christian tradition, like God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. God is referred to as he and his in this book. If you prefer her or it, that's absolutely fine, right? Language is just language. These are just terms that we've made up as human beings, aren't they? If you really think about it, yes, it's how we communicate and it's very important, but they're just terms that we've made up and collectively agreed. Yeah, I'm speaking something called a language right now that we happen to call English. I also speak other languages that are called Spanish and French. So, whatever that looks like, these are all terms that we've made up. We've gotten together and agreed that I'm talking into this thing called a microphone that's plugged in by this thing called a USB plug, which is plugged into a thing called a USB portal in what we call a computer. They're all just terms. God is my strength, and vision is his gift. So we see ourselves as less than in the world. We see ourselves as unworthy. Who am I to have abundance? Who am I to have a worldwide radio show? Who am I to have a worldwide live stream? I was talking to a friend and colleague just this morning, in fact, doing a podcast recording. And after the recording was over, I'm also a podcast host. I was recounting a story about how I became a university professor in 2005 in the field of conflict resolution. I had had a mediation practice for a long time and had access to professors at a university where I lived in Oregon and a lot of real high-ranking people. And I pretty much in one conversation invited myself onto the faculty, which was fun without being approached. And then my ego went to town on me after that. I had this voice of, well, who are you to do that? You're not qualified. Who's going to believe you? Yeah. Who's going to believe you? I mean, how do you know you have anything worthwhile to say? So I experienced that voice. Anyone that stands up and teaches will experience that voice. That's how we see ourselves in the world. If we listen to the ego, we see ourselves as cut off. We see ourselves as unworthy, less than, separate. Yeah. And we don't see ourselves as strong because if we're feeling cut off, lack, separate, unworthy, then we're not strong. But God is our strength. So work with this idea. And vision, seeing things as they really are, is his gift. Lesson 43, God is my source. Okay, source with a capital S, yes. I cannot see apart from him. Yeah. So whether you call God, source, the universe, him, her, it, God, goddess, whatever, there are a lot of terms. Whatever that is, God is our source. Love extends itself. It is not capable of extending anything else. So love does not extend separation. Love does not extend hatred. Love does not extend famine and genocide and war. Those are all unloving. Love can only extend itself. So, as an extension of God, you share in that. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Truly see, not see with the body's eyes, not see looking into a computer monitor as I'm looking into right now, looking straight at a camera, talking to all of you, no matter where you are, all over the world. And thank you for tuning in, by the way. Yeah, it's not seeing with the body's eyes, but seeing things as they truly are, which is more of an experience. Lesson 44, God is the light in which I see. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we cannot see, really truly see things as they are when we believe we're the ego. When I believe I'm a separate being named Tomás Garza, whatever that means. It was like, well, okay, my parents gave me a name. All of our parents gave us a name. Is that who we really are? Is a collection of sounds. Right? No, not really. No, it's not. God is the light in which we all see. God is, therefore, it's the only light. Lesson 45, God is the mind in which I think. So let me read this description verbatim. This is very good and it's very succinct. So I have no thoughts that I do not share with God. I have no thoughts apart from him because I have no mind apart from his. As part of his mind, my thoughts are his and his thoughts are mine. How about that? You may have seen this before. If you haven't, you may have intuited this before. You may have felt this viscerally, maybe for a long time. And if that's the case and you're hearing this right now, then this is lesson 45 in the workbook as paraphrased in lesson 59, which is a review lesson. God is the mind in which I think. We share our thoughts, our real thoughts, with him. His thoughts are ours. This, if you're doing the math, means yes. Yes, conclusively, yes, we are one with God. Love extends itself and only itself. So we're not necessarily, all of us, raised to believe this. And if I had voiced this opinion, say at age 12, growing up, my mother, who has passed, she passed about 5 years ago, so I can talk about her, right? She said all kinds of fundamentalist things, and I was raised in a fundamentalist tradition. And if I had voiced the thought that I was one with God, I am, I would have been shouted down and lambasted. All kinds of names would have been thrown at me that are not repeatable here on the program. But you get where I'm going with this. Sometimes people have spiritual experiences in life and they don't tell anyone about them. Well, that was me. That was me as a kid, having experiences of oneness with God, confirming lesson 45 in the workbook and not being able to tell anybody about it. That was a long time ago. So maybe you can relate to that. And if you can relate to that, I'd love to hear about that. I'd love to have you put that in the comments here, which I'm going to bring up momentarily. And thank you all for tuning in. Looks like we've got several people that are online. So I want to say hello to each of you here. And thank you for joining me. Deirdre and Robert, hello. Good evening, Robert. How are you? And Cindy, hi, how are you? Yes, and yeah, Robert writes, we need to relearn. I love this. I'll say some more about that. Thank you. And remember that we're abundant, healthy, happy, and joyful. And somewhere along this path, we forgot. Yeah, and we focus on the opposite, the lack, disease, pain, and sorrow. Yes, and hi, Julia and Denise. Hello. Thank you all and welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, so Robert, let's talk about this. I love this comment. Thank you for posting it here. It is like we forgot along the way, isn't it? And when, we don't know. In fact, our rational mind tries to pinpoint that, right? To go back in linear time and say, well, at what point did we decide we were going to go off and play by ourselves? And it's an impossible question, because there's no such thing as linear time, number one, and the actual reality of God, the experience of God, cannot be understood by the thinking mind that we make use of here in the world. So we don't know when all of this actually took place on a linear time scale, but we know that there is no linear time. So therefore that leads us to the conclusion, which is confirmed in A Course in Miracles, that this actually did not happen. Reality has not changed just because we're having this experience, because we chose to forget. Reality is not altered. God is not altered or impacted by this in any way. That's why, we are responsible for awakening to this truth ourselves. But isn't it wonderful that no matter how far astray you've gone in your own life, that all we need to do is recognize, oh wow, okay, I'm going to make a decision right now to return to love, to awaken to love. I'm going to choose love right now. I'm going to choose to do these workbook exercises. I'm going to choose to pray. I'm going to choose to meditate. I'm going to choose to ask real basic questions. Who am I? Being one of them. And what is my role in all this? What do I need to do? That's a great one, right? What do I need to do? We get out of our own way, and what happens when we're cut off, running around thinking we're having our own separate experience, is we get in our own way. We block the flow of the divine. We block the flow of love, trying to manipulate and orchestrate our entire being, and trying to control what we say and do, trying to control other people, trying to control circumstances, and getting really upset over things that we really don't have any control over. And we really are abundant, healthy, and happy, all of those things, joyous, limitless. Yeah. I mean, love is abstract, it's limitless, has no limits, right? Nothing has any limits at all. And just because we're choosing to wall ourselves off and place limits on them does not mean that reality is impacted in any way. You know what this means, guys? It means we're not broken. We're not broken. Yeah, my good friend and great spiritual teacher G.P. Walsh is fond of saying that. He's actually the man that runs Satsang with G, which streams every Sunday at 3 Eastern right here on the network. I recommend you check that out. Satsang's a traditional teacher-student dialogue with questions and answers, and GP just sits up there and teaches, and he's fond of saying this, we're not broken. Yeah, we're truly not broken at the core. God is the mind with which I think. Yeah. God is the light in which I see. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is my strength. Vision is his gift. God goes with me wherever I go. Yeah. Wherever we go, God is. Period. Mic drop. All right, I've got my really nice fancy mic right over here, and I'm not going to drop it, but you can picture a mic drop if you want to for emphasis and impact. This is the mic that I use for podcasting, so I'm not going to drop it on the floor because I don't want it to break. So, just saying. Yeah. So a nod to Newtonian physics. If I were to drop that, it would fall and probably be harmed in some way. All right. So if you're catching this on the replay, feel welcome to type comments in. And thank you to all of you who are joining in here live with me. Thank you for your comments. If you have specific comments or questions that I haven't gotten to on the live, I will get to them later on in the day. I check the comments several times each day. So thank you all for tuning in, and I'll be back here tomorrow. Check the show guide on Enlightened World Network's Facebook page for the actual show times, because it does bounce around a little bit. And thank you all so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you, and I will see you here again tomorrow.